Hello, everyone, and welcome back to People Do Wanna Know podcast. I'm back with another video episode featuring a very interesting fella, Ryan Turkienicz, or if I were to use my Russian accent, Turkienicz. Ryan has over a decade of experience in entrepreneurial business, as well as a diverse background in the arts as both a professional musician and a freelance writer. After October 7th, he, along with his brother Eric, who is a Canadian Comedy Award-nominated sketch comedian and satirist, co-founded the Daily Brine, a satire news page with the goal of fighting anti-Semitism on social media using comedy. The Daily Brine is like the Jewish Onion or the Babylon Bee. It's very sharp and clever, and Eric and Ryan have worked very hard to grow it. They started out as just them two, and now they have a whole team of contributor writers. I really admire what they do because as someone who also does my passion project in addition to my full-time job, I know how much work goes into what Ryan and Eric put together. The Daily Brine is available everywhere on social media or on their website at dailybrine.com. I'll also add that Ryan and I have become pals through all of this, and we can really talk shop about our projects. And that's another thing I really love about the podcast is it's given me these incredible connections and friendships. Anyway, in this episode, you'll get a very in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at how Ryan and Eric approach their work, where they think the Jewish community is at when it comes to the PR war, and much more. I think Ryan and Eric are under no illusion that the Jewish community and the pro-Israel community cannot win the PR war in numbers. That's why their page is all about cleverness, wit, and humor, and finding creative ways to get people's attention because we're certainly not going to do it through volume. I'm really excited to see what's in store for them, and please enjoy this episode. Hey, Ryan, welcome to People Do Wanna Know podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to chat. How was your trip out from Canada?
Pretty uneventful. Just a 1 hour plane ride, just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Okay, easy enough. My first question for you is tell us about yourself. What do you do and how did you get there?
Yeah, so both me and my brother Eric are from Toronto, born and raised. Really lived in Canada my whole life. Went to university in Montreal at McGill, but mostly Toronto. Our heritage, though, is Israeli. In fact, my father's family goes back to the early 1800s in Tzfat. And my mother's from Ramla in Israel. And my father's father was a Polish Holocaust survivor. So we have a deep connection to Judaism, to Israel, went to Jewish schools all the way through high school. So we roll deep. And so after October 7th happened, and we saw the onslaught of kind of anti-Israel opinions in the media, we thought we really need to answer this with an objective voice, but also with something that's a superpower for us. And in our case, it was comedy. So my brother's got experience as a professional comedy writer. He graduated from the Second City Conservatory program and has written satire news for many years for different publications, over 1 million shares. So he's got the skills. I'm no slouch myself. And so we said, how do we use this to have a voice? So we started the Daily Brine and it kind of grew from there. So for those that don't know, the Daily Brine is Jewish satire news, essentially like the Onion or the Babylon Bee, but from a Jewish perspective, from an Israeli perspective. And it has power because it uses the satirical voice and the objective voice of a news publication to expose hypocrisy in the headlines and to add some humor into the conversation as well. So we started just as an Instagram account in November of 2023. And we grew quickly, and now we're at about 20,000 followers. And so now we're looking at what's the next iteration of it. So we have a website. We're doing full-length articles. We're starting to do video content and bring on a team of writers. In fact, we've been inducted into something called the Jewish Writers Institute, a program of Maimonides Fund. It's a cohort of 18 different Jewish creators who are just trying to use digital storytelling, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, what have you. And through that, we're building out our skills at video content and working with real professionals, writers who've been associated with The Daily Show, The Tonight Show, Conan O'Brien, real heavy hitters. And so I feel like that program is going to be like rocket fuel for our growth.
I'm very excited to see how you take that program and you run with it because what I remember is that program specifically said that if you want to apply for it and qualify, you have to come up with a new project. It has to be something different than what you're doing before. And so seeing you do it in a video format, almost like a satirical news anchor, that's like, talk to us about why the Red Cross is the best Uber share service in Gaza. And that format, it like brings people in. I think it's very catchy and it hooks viewers. So I'm very excited how the video concept develops your page.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. It's similar to the way we developed the static posts, where it's an iterative process. We put something out there, we figure out, does it work? What about it works? And then we continue to iterate. So it's early days. We've published a few videos for now, starting low production so we can figure out what's going to work. And as we go, we have some funding to have higher production, use professional writers, professional production, and really scale this up.
How do you think the Daily Brine has been received by the Jews? I'm sure that there's all sorts of feedback that you're hearing, but I'm curious what sticks out to you.
Yeah, I think what was most surprising and unexpected was the community that we've been able to build. This feeling of solidarity, of being seen, of realizing that we're not the crazy ones. It's actually everyone else that's gone entirely mad when analyzing this situation. And to hear those stories of people saying, you're the only thing I've been able to laugh at for the past 2 years, or the first thing that made me laugh after October 7th is very heartening, because we started this more as an outlet for ourselves, or almost as like an advocacy project. And then it's turned into more of a community. And that's been really surprising and really special to see.
And speaking of community, I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I don't misspeak, but you are also part of the Voice of the People Network this year. I don't know what you don't do. You're in every initiative. You're really working hard. You and your brother are working so hard on this, which is amazing to see. Mm-hmm. How do you think we should be building Jewish community? Because I know from talking to you and the Voice of the People initiative that you're part of, that you're really trying to envision a different way for Jews to connect locally, because these large events and large galas and large organized gatherings don't seem to be creating a lot of meaning and true connection for people.
So on the point of being very involved is, I saw this war, both the actual war and the war in the media and the war against our communities, as a critical time to get involved. Realizing that having a people takes work, having a nation takes work, and a new generation is kind of rising up, and we need to understand the way things work and guide them as we go forward. So that's why I've kind of applied to basically every different accelerator and thankfully have been accepted. And so the Voice of the People is a fantastic initiative put on by Israel's president, Yitzhak Herzog. And they've gathered 150 different Jewish leaders, advocates, activists, thinkers from around the world, and put us in groups that are analyzing and working on potential solutions to different issues facing the Jewish people, like the relationship of Israel and global Jewry, issues like anti-Semitism, of polarization. And it's to your point that things like galas aren't moving the needle. Things that are just see and be seen don't move the needle. What we need is long-term thinking and long-term problem solving. So it's very early days for the council. In fact, I've spoken to some people, they think it's going to be multiple cohorts, multiple years, and we'll really start seeing the returns of it, even on the timescales of a decade or more. So they are thinking long-term. And we're only in the first year of it, where we're having the initial conversations, getting to know one another, where we align, where we don't. And then from there, we can circle around to problem solving.
Do you feel like the people in the room can solve the problems?
It's about starting the conversation. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for anything. These are wicked problems we're dealing with, like anti-Semitism. Even defining it is amorphous. Even Judaism, there's differences of opinion on who's part of the community and who's not. And so even defining the problems themselves are circular, they're recursive. And so that's a difficulty in itself. So it's impossible to say when is the problem solved, The most important thing is starting the conversations and the willingness to get involved in a deep way. And so that's where I feel the power comes from. And we're doing that.
I think that's a really fair answer. The reason I bring that up is because I've personally struggled in seeing this like emergence of Jewish advocacy and Jewish life after such a difficult event. It really feels like if a person does not see their exact idea developed and brought to light exactly how they think it should be done, they don't go to somebody doing something similar and try to affect change from within. They're like, I'm going to start my own thing. And so now we have like 15 of our own things, and none of them have achieved anything actually on their own or together at that rate.
Which is why I'm starting my own nonprofit, which will be self-funded, and we'll have all our own infrastructure and all of our own everything, and we won't share anything with anyone else, and things will have to be our way, because that's going to solve that problem.
Right, exactly. So when I hear like, you know, here's this initiative and here's that initiative, I'm like, but how are they actually measuring results? How can you look somebody in the eyes and say, because of this, we achieved that?
Well, that's part of the ethos at the Daily Brine, is that we try to express our perspective without disavowing someone else's, without, you know, completely minimizing it. Like, everyone is entitled to their sincere opinions. Now, if someone is doing something for cynical reasons or to attack someone under the guise of being objective, that's not okay. But we don't go after someone who's sincerely expressing an opinion. We go after bad actors. We go after actual terrorists, and we go after people who are in positions of power who are misusing it. So I think it's important that there is still that diversity of opinions, and that kind of everyone has the chance to be heard if they're being sincere.
What do you think has brined your brain the most this year?
Probably the encampment. Well, the whole encampment situation was just like this bizarro reality. Like, nothing about that seemed real. And then I think the culmination of it was when Columbia protesters violently took over one of their campus buildings and then made a speech saying they needed Uber Eats.
Humanitarian aid is what they needed.
Basic humanitarian aid. Yeah. Like, at that point, how can we even make fun of that? It's satire in and of itself. You just post that video on its own, we're out of a job.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. It's actually crazy to look back on how many events have happened since October 7, 2023 that feel like they're satire, even though they're not.
Yeah, it really does make the job of a satirist difficult. The world is losing its moorings. The center hasn't held. Everything's so polarized and is not making sense. Even during, like you saw during the recent protests, the president posting an AI video of a jet airplane dropping feces. Like, 10 years ago, you wouldn't believe that in a movie. It would be too ridiculous.
Our White House account does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The White House account, the social media strategy of the current White House account, I don't know if you've been following it closely, but it is satire.
Listen, as an agent of chaos and a lover of comedy, I can appreciate it because it's objectively funny, except when you remember that it's the president of the United States.
Yep.
You know, you hope to see a little bit more decorum from an office like that.
I was thinking about this recently because right now in New York, there's a really popular play, off-Broadway show called Slam Frank, that is a satirical play re-envisioning Anne Frank as somebody who had white privilege, and all the people hiding with her in the attic are, for example, non-binary or Black and Latinx. And so it's this completely chaotic satirical world where it's meant to make fun of woke culture. And a lot of Jewish people that have seen that show really critique it, that there are some things you simply can't make fun of or are not appropriate to set side by side next to the context of the Holocaust, right? And the way that I've reconciled this for myself is anything can be made into humor or a joke so long as the degree of funniness is higher than the degree of offensiveness.
I agree with that. I think Jerry Seinfeld said that on his podcast with Barry Weiss, that you can't get canceled if you're actually funny. Now, at the Daily Brine, we haven't done too much in identity politics, again, because we believe, that diversity of people who are being sincere in their identity, fine. That's totally all right. I think from what I've seen of their social media content, I think Slam Frank is very funny and is valid satire. Like we even saw with Mel Brooks is the classic example. Springtime for Hitler in The Producers. And his point was, we're not making fun of victims here of the Holocaust. We're making fun of the perpetrators, and they deserve it. And it's not on the same level, but some people who want to silence all criticism by bringing into the conversation intersectionalism or other things like that are also in a way operating from a position of power. So I do see Slam Frank's point, and their style of comedy, from what I've seen, is right up my alley. That's my opinion personally, not the official position of the Daily Brine. I haven't seen the show though. The show itself may be very much different.
It keeps getting extended and extended because more people want to come see it. I went to see it a few weeks ago, and I understood what the show wanted to convey. I also understood where there were moments where the wrong person would see the wrong thing. It was one of those things where, like, you see what you would like to see in the show, and two people might walk away with completely different understandings of what the point of the show was. And that leaves you wondering, is that the intent? Is that what you want to be doing with the show like that?
Well, people have said that about the Daily Brine, is they've said, well, your posts are like a Rorschach test. People on the right see it as a justification for their points of view. People on the left, likewise. And so there's an opportunity there and a risk. There's an opportunity to actually start conversations with everybody involved.
I think that's the best form of art. I don't like art that's dogmatic and that preaches a certain truth. I like art that allows two different people to see different things. I think that's important.
And the risk, of course, is not drawing lines and saying we are for this and we are against that. So we do view ourselves as centrist, as moderates, wanting to empower voices that are strong and reasonable. We just have to make sure that, we know where the lines are.
Do you have a dream headline you would like to write one day?
Yeah. I've been debating. I've been going back and forth on how I would want to position this. Something like Hamas decides to retire to beachfront community in South Florida, or heads of IDF and Mossad retired to beachfront community in Florida after eliminating Hamas, right? So do we give them a chance? Do we let them kind of cruise off into the sunset, or do we just take them out entirely? That's what I'd like to see. The end of Hamas, one way or another.
Going to retire to the heavily, densely packed Jewish area of Florida.
Well, we'll keep our eye on them. We'll give them some pagers so we can keep in contact.
Actually, randomly, did you listen to the episode with Yossi Cohen on Barry Weiss podcast? He's a former Mossad agent.
I did not.
It was very interesting. He talked at great length how he took on these different characters and how he psychologically broke down people and built relationships so that they would trust him. And then he was able to use that for intelligence. He's written a book about it. Mm-hmm. I would love to have him on, but it's just an interesting thing to enter that headspace. Of
an actual terrorist? I try not to.
The opposite of an intelligence agent for Israel.
Very interesting. And so, what's your takeaway from listening to that interview?
My takeaway is that there has to be something fundamentally different in the brain chemistry of people who are willing to play other people for the rest of their lives.
Wow. And is that what his career essentially was, like being a field agent?
A secret agent, right? Who took on different names, different identities for years at a time. He would pretend to be some French entrepreneur and go move to, Iraq or something like that. And then he would be some Lebanese, farmer or something like that, for another case. And his wife was in on it the whole time. His wife knew. And I think that you have to be a specific kind of person to be able to trick yourself into living a life that's not yours.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I would be the world's worst Mossad agent.
Same here.
Because it's like when I know something cool, I'm like, I want everyone.
Listen up.
I want everyone to know about it. Or if I don't want them to know about it, I'll be like heavily hinting. And it's like, oh, that's a nice pager you got there. Wouldn't it be really cool? Like, just hypothetically, if someone who had an enemy turned it into a bomb and just like got their enemy to buy it from, I don't know. I would just be constantly dropping hints.
So he actually talked about the pager mission in that episode. And he talked about how it took them decades to build relationships, pretending to be credible manufacturers of different pieces of device, and then pretending to sell prototypes of those pieces of device to the people that ultimately bought the pagers.
Wow.
And how they didn't have a lot of like chance to test them because you only have one shot to get it right.
Wow, that's like a 360-degree comprehensive. I'm astonished, and I have tremendous respect for the people who do that work. It's unbelievable, and that operation, it was first of all on an intelligence level unbelievable, but it was also just quintessentially Jewish. They started businesses. They actually made a profit selling their own product, Israeli tech, to a terrorist enterprise. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the whole thing will go down in history as absolutely iconic. And this is perhaps like a deep or dark thought, but something I was thinking about is for Jewish people and Israeli people, this pager mission is very much a testament to some like massive achievement for our people. We got the bad guys. This is a huge win for us, for mankind. Then I was thinking about like, well, you know, the Islamist world or the world of radical Islam, their achievement is that they've successfully indoctrinated like a bunch of the planet against the Jews. So like the pager mission's great and all, but I think they have one on us in some sense.
Yes. In fact, like we knew when we were joining the quote unquote PR battle, we knew it was a losing one because of just how big the world is outside of the Jews. We're so massively outnumbered. I think it's 500 to 1 on social media. But it also goes to your question about community, where it's like, what is the antidote to that? We're not going to win with Hasbara. We're not going to win with more PR, more marketing. We're going to win by banding together, having a strong culture, getting to know one another, getting to like one another, and fighting for each other. Just being Jews out in the street who have strong community. People will see that. They'll understand who we are, that we're respectable, that we're strong, and we're also reasonable, and we're fun, and you can be friends with us. And so I think really community is the answer.
I'm really hopeful to see that this next generation of Jews shows up as strong Jews and as confident Jews and just like matter of fact, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm not going to hide from that. And that's one of the things I love about your page is every time I see people share something that you've written that's satirical, it's like, this is what I believe. This is what I stand for. This is ridiculous to me. And I'm not ashamed to say it. And that it's a really powerful feeling.
Thank you. It feels great when people share it with me. Actually, the best is when people share things of mine with me and don't know me and Eric behind it, right? We went to a alumni event at our high school, Jewish high school, Chat in Toronto, and it was an alumni trivia game. We did very poorly. We did not win. Then afterwards, people were cruising the hallways, looking at the pictures of the different graduating classes, and we were standing, me and my brother, looking for ours, and we heard some people looking at their pictures saying, hey, did you know the guys from the Daily Brine went here? That's just one example. It warms my heart and makes me feel like we've really put something important out into the world. Or when people share the posts, you know, I see people on my personal social media sharing the post because it resonates with how they feel about the situation, or it gives voice to something that they haven't been able to express, or they just find it hilarious, right?
I remember that when you and your brother first started, you both were kind of like, we're not sure that we want to put our faces and names behind this, there was kind of like a veil of secrecy of like, who's running this page? Where are they from? What do they stand for? And then after some time, you made a decision that you're willing to talk about this openly. Like, this is my work. This is who I am. This is what we're about. What do you think helped you make the pivot?
Well, from day one, we set our minds to always having an objective point of view, a defensible opinion, and facts behind anything we post, something we can stand behind. Where, if you say, hey, you posted this, we say, well, then where's the lie, right? We need to have integrity, in a word, behind what we're doing. Even still, there's a risk that people come out of the woodwork and attack you just to attack you because they want to silence you. And so we said, hey, listen, we've got families, we've got professional careers, do we want to put our name to it? But once we started seeing the impact that we started having on people, we thought, why hide? We don't want our community to hide. And so we started putting our actual name out there. And so far, that's been a positive choice.
It actually made me wonder, like, every headline you write, I feel like there's a lot of thought and care that goes into choosing every word wisely because of the impact that it has. And I imagine there's a little bit of pressure around making sure you get it right.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've learned after doing this for almost 2 years now about how to speak in a candid way and not compromising your principle, but also in a fair way?
Well, we have some editorial rules, trying not to punch down, right? Going after people's positions, point of views, actions, not their identities. Absolutely no room for hate whatsoever. But then first and foremost, trying to make things funny first. We're at this inflection point where we're starting to grow, starting to bring on a diverse group of writers. And the difficulty is in keeping that ethos with a group that's less closely held. So we're working on that. But again, it comes down to culture. It comes down to working with the right people and building that culture of accountability into the writing team.
It's very hard to keep a cohesive voice, I think, even beyond one person. Like, I get you and your brother probably think alike because you were raised in the same family.
We're basically telepathic. Like, we did a lot of improv comedy together. So it's like when I'm setting up a punchline, I know that he's going to finish it and I know how he's going to finish it. So we have a very shorthand way of working together. But yeah, that's hard to create with a group of professionals. Yeah.
What's the age gap that you guys have?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
So my brother and I are the same exact way, but we're 7 years apart. And I think other people in my family, we can like read each other really well. And so my brother sent me this video about how like a daughter or son is filmed and they say something like, okay, today's Christmas Day. Mom's about to walk in the door and I think she's going to say this. Oh my gosh, it's Christmas. And then the next cut is the mom coming in and suddenly she's like, hi. Oh my gosh, it's Christmas. So the kid guessed exactly what the parent would say just by knowing the parent for so long. And so we have this bit in my house from Family Guy that we always quote, which is when somebody shares something irrelevant, which happened in an episode of Family Guy, everybody was talking about this one important thing. And at the end, Stewie was like, I flew today. And it like made no sense. And everyone's like, why are you sharing this? So that's our bit in our house is when somebody says something irrelevant, we're like, I flew today.
I flew today. There's no replacement for that, for just like knowing someone on such a level that you've, grown up arm in arm your entire life. And I just want to make a quick shout out to our third brother, David, who's a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan. And the Jays just made the World Series. And you better believe we're going to game one together. So.
Yeah, but so one day I was FaceTiming my whole family and my brother ran in because he saw that my parents were talking to us. And he was like, Rita, did you hear this? Blah, blah, blah. And it was like the most irrelevant thing in the world. And at the same time on cue, my dad and I both go, I flew today. And it's like, how do you know?
Yeah.
You can't explain it. It's just like telepathic, like you said, you feel it.
It's interesting. At the Voice of the People, that's one of the first things we did. Now, I don't think it was an official part of the program. Our facilitator, Yotam, I think, just decided to do this from his experience. But he started. The first thing we did in our group was everyone go around the table and say something that only makes sense to you. That is, a family inside joke, But I feel like it goes part of the way to establishing that type of relationship among strangers.
What'd you say?
I think I said a nickname of mine that I will not repeat here, but it was vulnerable, and people were like, okay, you went there.
As we wrap here, I'm interested to know, you've mentioned the values of community, the values of not punching down, of seeking truth, of being centrist and pragmatic. Are there any other messages that you have for the Jewish people today?
Just humor. We got to get back to humor. We got to get back to like my Polish grandfather, who him and his cronies, they were just like, they oozed humor. They were just, everything they did was funny because of how they talked, because of how they acted. It's so central to our identity. You know, I was trying to find some stats on it. Apparently, Jewish people are 5 times more likely to put sense of humor in a dating profile than non-Jews. There was a survey of American Jews. They were equally likely to put sense of humor as core to their Jewish identity as support for Israel. So this is important. And I feel like it's fading away. I feel, especially with all of the advocacy that everyone's been doing and all of the fighting everyone's been doing, we're getting so serious. And I'm not sure that it's helping. So like, let's just kind of loosen up, chill out, go check out some comedy, follow the Daily Brine, and bring some humor back to the conversation.
I love that. And you mentioned the Daily Brine. Tell me, how else can people connect with you and keep up with your work?
Follow us at Daily Brine on Instagram, at DAILYBRINE. We also are starting a YouTube channel. There's not much on it, but follow it anyway.
Not yet.
Also at Daily Brine. And our website, sign up for our newsletter, dailybrine.com. A lot more to come. A lot more Jewish satire news content.
I'm stoked. And I have one final question for you. It's one that I ask every single guest. Who would you like to nominate for People Do You Want to Know?
Like realistic or?
Give me both.
You got to get Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, good luck to me on that.
Have you reached out? His wife, Jess Seinfeld, she liked one of my posts. That's like one of our biggest claims to fame. Yeah.
That's it.
That's right. That's right. And she knows good comedy, I would think.
Okay, fine. Right? I'll work on it. It might be a few years.
All right. But it's aspirational.
Yeah. Thank you. It's something to strive for. I agree. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars. Be the first to hear our episodes by subscribing to People Do You Want to Know wherever you get your podcasts. And for exclusive content, follow us on Instagram at People Do You Want to Know.